Good morning. This is it, the final week of the Armour of God. God gives us protection from head to toe. If you remember, we've got the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the boots of peace, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and finally last week we learned about the weapon, the sword of the Spirit. But that's not the end. We read about all of this in the Bible, in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verses 10 to 17. And then you get on to verse 18, and it says, "And pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and keep on praying for the Lord's people." That means pray when things are good. Pray when things are bad. Pray when you're having fun. Pray when you're scared. Pray for yourself. Pray for other people. Whatever you do, keep on praying and chatting to God and having those conversations. Now, I'm going to tell you about a man in the Bible who put on the full armour of God to go into battle, and he prayed. And God answered him in a very surprising way. This is Joshua. Long ago, God had chosen Joshua to be the leader of his people. God told Joshua to lead the people across the river to the special land God had for them. But in this new land, there were 5 kings who did not love God or his people. To get the special land for them, Joshua had to fight these 5 kings. All of the kings were scared to fight Joshua's army because they'd heard how God had helped him win every battle. So they got all 5 of their armies together to make one giant army. Joshua got his army and marched to battle. Can you march? As they were marching, God told Joshua not to be afraid because the enemy army would not win. Joshua's army surprised the king's armies with their attack. God confused the different armies, and Joshua's army was able to chase them down the road. As they were running, God threw big balls of ice down on the king's armies. God was helping Joshua and his men to win the battle. How exciting is that? But the battle wasn't over. Joshua and his men needed more time. So Joshua prayed, and he asked God to make the sun stand still. He asked God to make the sun keep shining until the battle was over. This meant that the sun would still shine, even when the sky was supposed to be dark. God heard Joshua's prayer. He hears all our prayers. Sometimes the answer's yes, sometimes the answer's no, sometimes the answer's wait. He heard Joshua's prayer, and he made the sun stand still until the whole battle was over. You see, Joshua had put on all of the armour, the belt, the breastplate, the shoes, the shield, the helmet, the sword. He'd got it all on. But he knew that he still needed God's help. So he prayed and he asked God for help. And God heard his prayer and he helped Joshua stand firm until the battle was won. When we put on all of the armour that God has given to us, we become everyday heroes. We've talked about that most of these weeks. This armour that God gives us just makes everything so much easier. But on top of that, we still need to pray. And if you think about the story that we've just had, Joshua didn't win the battle straight away, even though he surprised the 5 armies, even though God was throwing all of this ice down at these people, they still had to keep fighting. So just putting on the armour and praying doesn't suddenly mean everything will be easy and wonderful and perfect straight away. But it does mean that you are protected, that you can stand firm, and that you will see things turn out okay. When you put on God's armour and you pray, you will be strong enough to stand up to any evil that comes along, any bad, any difficult things. Even if things don't turn out the way you expect, you will be okay because you've got God's armour, you've got God's protection, and you've got God's love. See you next time.